Hi, so we're having a look at domain and range of graphs here. Firstly, the domain is the set of all x values that the graph can validly take. Now, to do this, the best way is to draw lines down from the graph until they hit the x-axis. Lines down or up in this case, and see where it hits. Now, if we have a look on this graph, the graph hits the x-axis here. Now, this is just looks exactly the same as a inequality. This inequality is x is greater than or equal to 1. And that's going to be the domain here. If we have a look at the next one, okay, we draw lines until the graph hits the x-axis. Okay, we see that, okay, got all the x-axis. It doesn't actually ever hit the x-axis at the origin though, and it goes all the way out that way. So, for here, the domain is just all the values of x which aren't equal to 0. Okay, because we've just got that little hole there. Here, we've got values of x pretty much everywhere. So, in fact, there's no gaps whatsoever in our x-axis, so the domain is all of x. Let's have a look at this one. We draw our lines down, and what we end up with is it goes a negative direction infinitely, and we've got a hole here at 4, so that just looks like x is less than 4. Okay. Have a look at our next one. We keep on drawing lines down and lines up. Okay, pretty much overlaps and completely covers the x-axis. So again, we've got a domain of all x. And finally, drawing all our lines. Again, we pretty much cover the whole x-axis. So the domain is all x. Now, for the range, it's exactly the same thing except we're having a look at the y-axis. So, if we draw our lines for the y-axis, okay, for the first one, we're covering the entire y-axis. So the range is all of y. For the next one, okay, we've got a very similar situation into the range. Okay, pretty much covers all the y-axis except for that little bit in the middle. So the range is y not equal to 0. Here, if we draw arrows to cover the y-axis, we're going to cover the whole y-axis here. So the range is all of y. Here we're covering all the positive y-axis, but we have a hole here at the origin. Okay, so our range is y is more than 0. Okay, we don't have any arrows less than 0, and there's a hole at 0. Again, for this one, we draw our arrows. Now we've got a hole here. Then we've got a blank spot, and then we've got the rest. So, if we draw our line, we've actually got a two-part range. We've got y is more than 1, and y is less than or equal to minus 1. That one is tricky. Finally, for our last question, drawing our arrows. Okay, we get very close to 1, but we never actually reach it. Okay, so we're going to have y is less than 1. Now it's not that hard to actually work out domain and range from a graph, but you've got to be very careful and you've got to be able to visualize the rest of the graph. So when you've got the arrows, you've got to visualize where the arrows go. That's the only other tip I will give you.